Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Makona Man at YouTube with another model video. Today unboxing, building, reviewing, painting and some modifications of the 2022 entry grade Nu Gundam in 1/144 scale. Retail of 1,000 yen in Japan or over $20 Australian. We're given 4 coloured ABS runners, 1 sticker, all in PLA plastic that snaps straight out of the frame and snap fits together. No polycaps. Yet with this breakdown, full colour separation and articulation. Plus the inclusion of a coloured and monochrome instructions in full 3D modelling. Overly contextualized but easy to follow. Outside the popular trend of snap fitting gunpla with expensive nippers, I'll be taking the approach of 2 cuts, sanding and cutting the nub, widening the snap points for easy connection and removal, gluing same coloured parts together, filling seam lines and later on painting. Traditional scale modelling methods. I like the move of showing the visual area that you're building, the internal structure and where things are connecting in a 3D sense, parts required to which runners, and then you figure out how to apply it together. It's the right amount of information and great for people who struggle in 3D visualization or get confused or overwhelmed with a large amount of parts or more complex projects. The instructions are definitely overly clear. The parts are very well formed and snap together quite well, being very clever in the seam line points, articulation points, and they slide with great tolerance and hold under its own weight and snap points, even without polycaps. No obvious issues such as flash or ejector pin marks. Even the points of the nubs are in an orientation where it's less visible when assembled for the more lazy modeler. The cleverness and how well and over-engineered this kit is so good, it funnily enough has actually bored and frustrated me, where I felt I was almost being pandered to and playing with a toy. I was initially fascinated when doing the snap building component in putting it together and playing with the separation and articulation. Around the same time to remove and stick together, I was immediately disappointed, generally not having fun and realizing that this is actually quite a poor value for money for those more creative and looking for a challenge outside of toy collecting. It may be the change of the hobby, but I cannot recommend this. I procrastinated quite a bit and the snap model sat around for a very long time, where I felt compelled to apply third-party 3D printed and designed components, leading to an almost 6-month abandonment. Reaching to the painting point, this is where it started to become more fun, though it kind of just went together like a normal gunpla model. The detail was very rich and the proportions quite attractive, where decorating was quite a joy. Did cut some corners such as sanding instead of using a primer, 2 instead of 3 tones of colour, though being a bit more selective and playful with highlights and light glints. Hand painting little thrusters and vents in my iconic brass and metallic scheme, and hitting it all with a very heavy sludge wash for definition and greater detail. Even filters and coloured washes for lighter components such as white and yellow. Not to fall for the same trap as the 30-minute mission sister kit, which I also had not a very good time making, though really did enjoy the aesthetic and the appearance of the kits. The inner parts were not painted and a lot of joints and other parts were left in its base plastic state. The painting was done as close to the plastic as possible so it would all end up blending together, and other areas not weathered to prevent the cracking and softening of plastic. Moving on to the white, we did heavy shading with blue, which gave it a blue tinge. Other areas that I couldn't shade, I used a blue wash. The stickers were a no-go. I could have gone for some aftermarket decals, but I reached with an existing vintage decal set I bought cheap many years ago and managed to make some master grade bits work on the shield and shoulder components. Allowed it to set and hit it with a matte clear. All the components post-painting was allowed a week to dry and harden, and all pieces were sub-assembled with PVA glue where it would have a permanent bond but not craze or damage the paint. 24 more hours was allowed for all that to set, and then I did the final assembly and check with articulation and finish, giving it many possibilities for posing, no damage pegs, and the complete piece was quite more satisfying than the 30-minute sister with the adjustment to modeling and my usual methods. Months later, Bandai announced a Decoy Balloon soft vinyl toy, and I thought it was so simplistic and stupid I'd be able to make my own in Fusion 360 and 3D print it in my filament machine as a flex. The ultimate in procrastinating and avoiding finishing a kit that I wasn't too happy or satisfied with. I love the idea of the Decoy Balloon so much I definitely wanted one for myself, and do not regret making this. Printed in cheap PLA on the Ender 5 Plus and heat treated to melt the Z-axis lines, sprayed with filler primer and sanded back, followed by excess mistakes and slag filed away. With an airbrush and lacquers, I appreciated it in blue and gave it a 3-tone shade with Mr. Hobby to give it that classic Char's Counterattack vintage cell frame painted look. The STL file can be found on my Thingiverse and Cults accounts in the links down below. Feel free to go nuts with it and have fun. Also, the year prior, I was commissioned to make fin finals that were articulated and fixed in various positions. This was also run off on my resin printer to complete the Gundam. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention and did it in the wrong scale. Regardless of stretching this project out and not having my heart in it, I'm pretty happy how this came out. It was almost as if I was working on a tutorial or just practicing general building and airbrushing, but the Gundam has come out quite faithful to the source material and is recognised as a competently made Nu Gundam. Another slap in the face is I've remembered that I'm actually not that big of a fan of the Gundam patterned mecha designs and really don't build them that often. When I bought this, I was very excited to get my hands on it and very fond of the movie itself, but it just did not tickle me right, and indifferent in the results and owning this. It is a fantastic model. A good job has been done. It's a very fun toy to play with. Not a statement or criticism in the direction that the hobby is going into, but I just don't really enjoy this new style of snap kits. Maybe I'm a booner, or I just like to fetishize older vintage glue together kits. Flip side, the simplicity of the Decoy Balloon is brilliant. The design pops nicely and I absolutely love it. Fantastic, 10 out of 10, great kit. Biased as hell, I know. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. Check out the description section down below for all the 3D models, references and more info, social medias included. We'll catch you guys next time. See you later.